Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and the last time we did one of these, we actually did Sun Wukong, and well, he was against the Greek pantheon, and he clapped their cheeks, both proverbially, and in Athena's case, oh wait, sorry, Aphrodite's case, literally. So yeah, instead of doing Sun Wukong, we're gonna do another person from his pantheon. We're going to do another God Slayer himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Asura. But before we really get into how he would do this, in a versus sense here, I do want you guys to know I am going to focus on a narrative sense for the next two God of War videos. Now, as for Asura's cosmology, we do know from the Archie comics and from the Archie Mega Man comics that the Capcom multiverse is infinite in size with an infinite number of universes. And these universes are infinite in size, okay? So everything ranging from Street Fighter to Darkstalkers to Devil May Cry to Monster Hunter to I know there's more here. I forgot what Amaterasu or Okami comes from. And then there's Strataheroes. Yeah, their universes are known to be infinite in size, and Asura is no exception here. Now, let's get into the cosmology of directly his verse in general. Now, Asura is a part of the, I guess you could say, is a inspiration of Buddhism. I know there is a god of wrath in the Buddhism pantheon, but I'm not sure if it's really Asura himself or if it's some other being. But the seven deities are really from the Buddhism pantheon, as I was able to research. At least you get enough research and enough detail on it to suggest that Asura and the rest of the seven deities are a part of the Buddhism pantheon, meaning Asura could scale a little bit higher, but again, we're going to go with the more consistent scale, and I'll share that information later. So Asura's lowest end here is solar system, or at least I'll probably say galaxy level, or maybe universal, depending on how you look at it. But again, he was able to fight against Chakravartin, who was constantly chucking like solar systems at him. They were both like fighting each other to the point where they were shattering the reality around them. And keep in mind, there are multiple universes that he and Chakravartin actually go to where yeah, he kept shattering it over and over again. However, one of the best feats I would have to say here is the fact that not only did Asura destroy an infinite reality, he basically broke a realm that was the, I guess you could say, the in-between boundaries of the concepts of life and death itself, Naraka. He basically did this by like deflecting multiple solar system to galaxies that were coming at him. These were like planets and stars all put into one. And then he bull rushed Chakravartin and then shattered this, I guess you could say, this first form here, and then just destroyed Naraka along with it. And again, like I said earlier, Naraka is a realm that is, or at least the, universe that is between life and death. There are multiple universes confirmed to be existing inside of the, Asura's Wrath universe, or at least inside that probably small multiverse if you want to get into it. But we also know that Chakravartin himself is a part of the Wheel of Life, or is the Wheel of Life itself. Now you might ask, Legendary, what is the Wheel of Life? Now, it took me some time to really find this, but I found out the Wheel of Life is also known as Samsara or Samsara. Now, Samsara, or the Wheel of Life itself, I'm going to just pretty much call it that, is basically the fundamental concepts of existence itself. Life, death, reality, space, time, love, happiness, joy, anger, pain, wrath, lust, gluttony. All those things are a part of the Wheel of Life here. And Asura would scale above this, meaning you could actually put Asura at a high multiversal level or a complex multiversal level, which is actually pretty consistent with the God of War verse characters. Now, there is the whole, Buddhism scaling here. And before I do that, we should also know Asura is massively faster than light, as he's able to react to Chakravartin Even when he's able to stop time, Asura is able to simply block and counter him and then go on to move through this, despite the fact that he was able to stop time in a dimension he had full control of. Asura is also durable enough to take literal big bangs going off in his face and in his body. And again, at the end of this fight, what did he do? He literally killed his creator. Now, again, with the similarities to Buddhism, we do know that Buddha himself is actually confirmed to be like boundless and is like, you know, he's not bound by anything that pertains to fiction and non-fiction itself here. But yeah, Asura is ridiculously powerful, and if you scale into Buddhism, which I'm not doing, I'm just sharing the information that, yeah, you could possibly do this, but it's very sketchy here, that Asura could be universal. Now on to the Aesir themselves, or at least the you know, the God of War Norse pantheon himself. It honestly does revolve around the Aesir and their lore. They kind of just made it focus on them in general. But let's cover the fodder characters first, who really don't have anything to really offer or really just get one-tapped by Asura. And we're going to start off with Magni and Modi. Now, these guys were less than impressive, to the point where Odin himself even stated that they were useless to him. And like that says a lot here, considering their like hacks and abilities are like pretty, I guess you could say not too close, but are pretty similar to their fathers, which is, you know, their father Thor. And they don't scale to him at all. They don't even scale to a holding back Kratos. Now, again, if anyone is wondering, yes, the Norse pantheon, yeah, is above the Greek pantheon. They have a lot more scaling, and they scaled to a much stronger Kratos here. But again, Kratos is holding back by the events of the first part of the game, as he doesn't want to go back to the monster, or at least in his own words, the monster that he was here. And again, you could probably say that, oh, well, that he was only able to kill them because he had the world serpent's venom. Trust me, I've seen these kind of arguments before. It's absolutely ridiculous. But again, I think he would have still been able to kill them regardless of Jormungandr's venom. For those of you who don't know, Jormungandr's venom actually bypasses the Aesir's healing ability, which is why he was able to kill Thor in the traditional Ragnarok sense. It's actually noted that when Kratos' axe struck Thor in the gut, Thor's wound never heals. It never, like, recovers from it. And again, this is a Kratos that is holding back drastically. Not trying to go into a Spartan rage, not trying to relive his Greek pantheon days, and not trying to put another pantheon on a couple dozen t-shirts. He's not trying to smoke any packs here. But again, that doesn't mean he won't catch any bodies. And they don't really, I don't really see how they would scale to Asura at all, who's less likely to restrain himself than Kratos. Now, next up, we have this prick right here, Heimdall. Now, honestly, Heimdall is really not one of the stronger Aesir. You could probably put him as maybe the fastest, or at least the more agile. But this kind of comes down to his ability to be able to read and predict an opponent's movements, because he's able to, like, peer into their minds and stuff. However, I think Asura could really counter this by just using his, like, 6-arm form. Because if you really watch the Kratos versus Heimdall fight very carefully, you see how Kratos does it, right? And I'm talking about using the Draupnir spear to overwhelm Heimdall's senses. But again, that could work with Asura's and his 6 arms here. I'm talking about the sheer fact that Kratos was throwing punches in a very specific order. He started off with, I think, like 2 or maybe 3, and then he kept ramping up the speed and the number of the punches to the point where when Heimdall thought he could block one, he fakes out a punch and then uses another punch to basically cut open his cheek. So my question is, what's to stop Asura from doing that with 6 arms? Plus, I don't think Asura is a very predictable opponent for anyone to go up against. I mean, this guy's mind might just be like sheer rage and to kill, but he fights like a very experienced warrior. I don't see how Heimdall's going to predict anything here. He might predict a 6-arm combo that's just gonna land anyway. And I think Asura does punch a lot faster than Kratos. But let's move on to Baldur here. Now, this is where we actually get into the difficult territory. I apologize. This is where we get into like the difficulty territory. Now, Baldur, I'm a little bit on I guess a 50-50 side, because I don't think he could beat Asura, but I don't think Asura could kill him unless we take away the immortality. Now, Baldur, by the end of the game, where he's basically like trying to kill Kratos and Atreus at that point, and he does not have his, his I guess you could say his cursed invulnerability. Yeah, I think Asura is taking that one to town. It might take, the mantra form where he's like really bulked up. Or since we're using like the more endgame scaling, he probably wouldn't need that form, as he would just scale above all his other forms when he actually gets to the Chakra Vardan fight, because that's just how strong he had gotten as well. So in all honesty, if Baldur does have the invulnerability, I would argue that Asura does have possibly one win con. And it does come from him being able to counter the Brahmastra with, his rage form, using that kind of energy to counter, or using his just sheer power to counter, as Yasha stated. And I think the thing is, considering the Brahmastra is just like souls itself here, I think that maybe, and I'm saying this like maybe, Asura could possibly hit Baldur so hard that he might just be like to be able to like bypass his immortality, if you get what I mean. But again, I'm like 50-50 on this one. But yeah, let's move on and we'll address Thor here. Now, Thor, I think Asura could take it high to extreme death, but I could also see Thor taking it more often than not here. The reason why I'm saying that is because Thor actually scales to a trying Kratos. Now, again, I don't think Kratos is using like his full strength here, but again, I do think like by the end of the game, Kratos is actually trying to subdue Thor, not trying to kill him, but subdue him. Now, I do think this is important, because I do think that Thor's hammer, right, and his scaling with him being able to crack a celestial object like the World Tree, which is like infinite in size and covers all the realms, basically shaking multiple infinite realms. I do think that Thor could take it high to extreme death, because Thor really doesn't fight with like I understand, Kratos just said that Thor really has like, he's very methodical and very, I guess you could say, like well versed with his hammer, or he's very well skilled with his hammer. But when it comes to someone like Kratos, Asura, characters like Dante, and even if you want to add him as well, the Monster Hunter, I would say Thor is like less skilled than they are, because he fights like a brute. And in all honesty, the way Kratos actually does beat Thor, he out-weapons and out-skills him. And keep in mind, he had the Blades of Chaos, or Blades of Exile, whichever one they call it. I do believe it's the Blades of Chaos. And he had the Leviathan Axe, which still had Jormungandr's Venom to bypass Thor's durability. And he had the Draupnir Spear, which could pretty much overwhelm everybody's senses. It could explode. It does all these sort of things here. And I actually think Asura's only win con is skill here. He doesn't have the weapons to honestly keep Thor at bay for long, and he's relying on a hand-to-hand fight. So in all honesty, I think that Thor does take it, like more often than not, because he has the weapons, he has the strength, he has the endurance and durability. Meanwhile, Asura doesn't really have too much. He probably could bypass his durability with his energy, as I stated earlier, as it is able to interact with non-corporal or astral type attacks here. But again, I do think that Mjolnir is going to be able to harm and maybe even kill Asura, maybe even like shatter his arms if you want to get into that, albeit if you want to go with the end game scaling again, his arms didn't shatter when killing Chakra Vardan, which is pretty much greater than anything that shattered his arms entirely. So I honestly think that you could argue Asura winning high diff because he can outskill Thor and definitely outspeed him. However, I just favor Thor a bit more with a mid to high difficulty. Now, this is where I think Asura stops, and it's honestly at Odin. Now, you might say, oh, well, couldn't he just like maul Odin? Yes, yes. If Odin allows him to get close, then yeah, I think it's a wrap here. But I think Odin actually low diffs Asura because he has too many hacks and abilities. This man basically has like every magical hack in the book almost. This man can barge you from going into any realms. He can pretty much trap you in one realm entirely to the point where you have to use like a certain magic to like get past him. He can bind the world tree's runes to an artifact just to keep Freya from traveling across the realms. He can even nullify travel amongst the realms as well. And again, it took Freya, pretty much a prepared Freya's magic to basically counteract Odin's, because Kratos and Atreus would have been done. And again, since we're not focusing on this narratively where Asura doesn't like befriend Freya in any way here, yeah, she's not there to help him. Meaning that, in all honesty, Asura just goes down trying. Maybe he could probably force his way out of maybe one or two magical attacks here. But then after that, Odin might just use Gundyr and one-shot him like he did Thor. So in all honesty, do I think Asura beats God of War Ragnarok? No. Does he get close? With just Thor and Odin and also Zerter at the top, I would actually say he clears it. Let's see, 100, 1, 2, 3. He actually makes it there 70% of the time. Sorry, he gets it like a 70% completion with just, those three beings being at the top, being Odin, Zerter, and Thor. But anyway, that's going to be all today, you guys. The next time you'll see this, you'll actually be seeing two narrative versions, one for Deathwing and one for Grimlock. So I'll see you guys later. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.